everyone, welcome back to Nails Before Films. Sorry for the long hiatus, I was preparing for a test. Anyway, I'm back now with my year-end review. I picked 10 movies from 2023 that I had a strong feeling toward, both good and bad. Now, there are some high-profile movies that I didn't watch, like every single MCU movie except Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and movies like Shazam 2, Blue Beetle, The Creator, The Little Mermaid, Indiana Jones, Five Nights at Freddy's, etc., etc., so you won't find them in my reviews. There are also some movies that I watched but are not on this list. For example, Dungeons and Dragons, Sound of Freedom, and Cocaine Bear. Yeah, I actually watched Cocaine Bear, and it should be obvious why I'm not doing nails for it. I actually like Sound of Freedom, but it's not really a movie that I can do nails on, so I have to leave it out of my reviews. Now, I want to end the year with the movie I love the most, so I'm going to start with the movie I hate the most, which is none other than The Flash. Watching The Flash is like spending hundreds of dollars on a set of extra long nails. However, not only do the nails look terrible, but they break immediately when you try to open your car door. Oh, and they rip off your natural nails along with them, so now you have bleeding hands, broken nails, and an empty wallet. You're hurting physically and financially, questioning your life choices, and that's what I felt after watching The Flash in the theater. In IMAX, no less. Why did I pay extra and waste 2.5 hours of my life on this absolute piece of garbage? Why? And what makes me furious the most is that I originally wasn't going to watch this in the theater. After what happened with Ezra Miller and movies like Wonder Woman 2 being boring as fudge, I decided enough was enough. I've always been more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan, so I really supported their movies and wanted them to succeed. But I was honestly still done after Ezra Miller turned out to be a weirdo who was charged by the police. I swore to myself that I would rather burn my fingers from gel nail spikes than watch The Flash. Sadly, I'm an impressionable young woman and was fooled into watching the sorry excuse of a movie. A couple weeks before this anti-movie came out, so many people were praising it, and among them were actually some YouTube film critics whose opinions I generally agreed with most of the time. At first, I still refused to watch it, but after so many people came out saying it was great, my weak mind gave in and I thought, hey, maybe the movie would be good. So I bought 2 IMAX tickets online, which cost $3 more, by the way, dragged my poor sister to the theater with me, and then went home sad and angry, feeling like I had been scammed. And I swore to myself, never again. To this day, I haven't broke that promise yet. I didn't watch Blue Beetle, and I sure as heck am not going to watch Aquaman 2. Which is kind of a shame because I kind of like the first one, but DC is pretty much dead to me at this point. As the saying goes, fool me once, shame on you. You won't get me a second time, WB. Anyway, let's get into my actual thoughts on the movie. Actually, it's not fair to call this trash a movie, so I'm going to call it dumpster fire from now on. Let's get the positives out of the way first, because there aren't that many. Michael Keaton's Batman is great. It's been 30 years since the last time he was Batman, yet he slips into the role so naturally. I thought they were going to do a Flashpoint and make him Thomas Wayne, which is one of my favorite twists from Flashpoint, but I'm okay with them sticking with Bruce. It's nice to see a retired Batman who has completed his mission and made Gotham the safest place on Earth. Good for you, Brucey. However, it's weird seeing him fight giant aliens in broad daylight in the middle of a desert. Batman works best at night in a city. Seeing him fight a CGI monster when it's bright and in the middle of nowhere is just jarring. Yes, I know he's fought his fair share of aliens in the comics, but that's still usually in the city at night, where Batman can utilize the surrounding. It's honestly a waste using Batman in such an open, bright setting, especially when the opponent is a big fat alien. Also, I think they wanted to make him Barry's mentor. At least that's the impression I got, but it didn't work in my opinion. I feel like he's more of a tool they need to move things along because the two Barrys suck. The two of them will never get anything done, so they need Batman to babysit them. Yeah, that's it. Batman is more of a babysitter than a mentor in this dumpster fire, which again is a huge waste of character. They can't even get the one good thing they've got right. I'm so done with this. Supergirl, on the other hand, is okay, but mostly because she's not really a character, just something they needed to move the plot along. She appears so late in the dumpster fire and basically keeps dying about after a while, so there isn't too much to say about her. It's kind of a shame because she has the potential to be likable in my opinion. Her rage is understandable, yet she has the potential to do good, and from her grief after learning about Kal-El's death, she seems like a caring person. Again, another case of wasted potential in this dumpster fire. Anyway, now the acceptable parts are out of the way, let's get into the burning crap inside this dumpster fire. First of all, Ezra Miller, or Cringe as I like to call that creep. Whoever the heck Cringe was playing in this dumpster fire, that isn't Barry Allen. I refuse to accept that cringy overgrown teenager is Barry Allen. One of my favorite DC superhero is Barry's The Flash, and this dumpster fire's greatest crime is butchering my sweet Barry. Look, I've read my fair share of comics, and it's true, Barry is a bit dorky, but he's also mature and sweet. This awkward, annoying, insociable, oversized kid is not Barry Allen. Like, he said, I know sex exists, I just never experienced it in this freaking dumpster fire. That's an actual line he said. It's so shoehorned in there as a joke. Cringe has no reason to touch the lasso of truth at that point. Wonder Woman could untie that easily, yet they made him touch it just to say that cringy line. Whoever wrote that should have been fired immediately. So, like what I call Ezra Miller, I will call the characters Cringe plays in this dumpster fire Cringe as well. You might say, but younger Cringe is annoying on purpose. That's the whole point. Well, I find both of them annoying. Right from the get-go, I couldn't stand Cringe. Like, we get it, you're hungry, it's not funny. Stop being so hyper, it's just annoying. Oh, and saving CGI babies by stuffing them in a microwave? I bet you guys are real proud of yourself for that, aren't you? You think the audience would be rolling in their seats after that. Well, guess what? It's freaking stupid and not the funny kind. It's plain dumb. Nobody laughed. Not to mention the terrible CGIs which this dumpster fire is overflowing with. Anyway, back to Cringe. As you can tell, I'm not a big fan of the original timeline Cringe, so imagine my dread when he went back in time and there was another Cringe there. I literally whispered, oh my goodness, there's two of them now in the theater. And I'm not the type of person to speak in the theater. Somehow, in some way, they managed to make younger Cringe even more annoying, something I didn't think was possible. I know why they made him like that. I'm not arguing with the rationale, but it would work better if the original Cringe was less annoying and more mature. That way it would be more of a contrast and really show us how losing his mom and having his father convicted affected Cringe, how it forced him to grow up. However, because one Cringe is annoying and the other is just more annoying, it doesn't have the effect they were hoping for. I've seen people praise Cringe for being such a great actor because Cringe played two totally different characters so seamlessly. I was like, really? Two totally different characters? One is just 80% Cringe and the other is 100% Cringe. How is that totally different? Oh well, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, yada yada yada. Well, that about concludes my thoughts on the Cringes. They're very cringy. When your protagonist, the guy who we're supposed to be rooting for, is so unlikable and annoying, no wonder the whole thing is a dumpster fire. Next, let's talk about the plot, which I like to call the mess. The first half is fine, at least you can follow what's happening, but after Zod shows up, things deteriorated really fast. First of all, why is General Zod the villain in this dumpster fire? Did all of the Flash's villains die or something? When the original Cringe got pushed out of the Speed Force, my sister leaned over and asked me, who's that? And I was like, I don't know. It doesn't look like the Reverse Flash or any Flash villain I know. Turns out it's just another Cringe, an older version of the younger Cringe to be exact. I know, it doesn't make sense. Time traveling never does. This is one of the reasons why I don't enjoy the Flash's stories, despite him being one of my favorite superheroes, because it always involves time travel, which doesn't make sense any way you explain it. How is there an older version of younger Cringe who pushed the original Cringe out of the Speed Force when the original Cringe was the one who gave younger Cringe powers in the first place? And supposedly, shouldn't there be an original Cringe with the older version of the younger Cringe? What happened to him? Did he die? If he died, then how is original Cringe still alive? It just doesn't make sense in my mind. I think it's just a sorry excuse to show us the cringy multiverse, which includes CGI Christopher Reeve and Nicolas Cage. The cameos are honestly so pointless and even somewhat disrespectful in my opinion. What's the point of reminding everyone of better movies? That only makes this dumpster fire look even more terrible than it already is. By the way, Cringe learns nothing by the end. He still changes something to save his dad, which brings back George Clooney's Batman. Yet another meaningless cameo. Brilliant. Seriously, multiverse used to be a cool idea. It's a fun way to do what-if scenarios without affecting the canon. Yet you hacks at DC and Marvel killed that fun idea with your dumpster fires. I'm so done. That about concludes my thought on the dumpster fire. It's not funny, extremely messy, visually unappealing, and turned one of the most endearing DC heroes into an unlikable cringe. The funny thing is that I was fuming after watching the dumpster fire and I gave it a 3 out of 10, and my sister, who thought it was okay, only gave it a 4. I was like, you thought it was okay, but you only gave it a slightly better score than I did? This truly is a dumpster fire. Anyway, for anyone who had to go through this dumpster fire, my recommendation is to go watch the animated movie, The Flashpoint Paradox. It's only an hour and 20 minutes, more than an hour less than Dumpster Fire, yet tells a much more coherent story and the Flash actually gets to be the Flash. I know the animation is a bit iffy at times, as well as some of the voice acting, but it's still infinitely better than this dumpster fire. Seriously, I don't understand why they don't just adapt the Flashpoint more faithfully. That's a fine story right there. Just change Thomas Wayne back to Bruce and change Superman to Supergirl if you want. It'll still be better than this dumpster fire. Yet the hacks at Warner think they could do better. I'm still done with them. Yep, so this dumpster fire really killed any hope I had left for DC movies. I actually have so much more complaints, but you guys get the idea. This video would get way too long if I went into every unfunny joke or every cringe-worthy dialogue. Unless James Gunn has something extraordinary cooking for them, I'm not going to see another one of their films in theater, except for stuff like Joker, because that's completely different. Anyway, as always, like, subscribe, comment, share, do what you want, keep nailing it, and seriously, just go watch the Flashpoint Paradox, people. It's so much better.